As you can see, sofas take up a tremendous amount of space in the back of a moving truck. So for that reason, we stand them up. It helps us load, and we can get things in and around much easier than if we would lay them down or go across the truck and somehow try to get them into the tier. We're going to stand our sofas up. We're going to place the legs towards the wall. We have a moving pad between the floor and the sofa itself. The knees are facing the tier in front here, and the seat is facing towards the middle of the truck. As we load our next sofa over here in this empty space, we'll have a nice space to fill here, which we're going to use typically washers and dryers and other large items that are wide. Now we have both sofas loaded. It's time to pad wrap them and fill that space in between. Again, we have a pad between the floor of the truck and the sofa to protect from any snags, rips, or soiling. If you're wondering to yourself, why didn't we pad wrap the sofas before we put the plastic wrap on them? Well, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. There's two schools of thought here. And if you're interested in learning about sofa protection, we have those videos linked in the description below. The reason these sofas were not pad wrapped prior to being plastic wrapped was because they went directly into storage for a prolonged period of time. And we don't like to put pads on sofas that are in storage for a prolonged period of time, because sometimes the pads could actually stick to the sofa. Now that's more of a thing with leather versus cloth, but it can still happen, and we want to minimize any risk. That has a lot to do with humidity, but regardless, that's the reason why these have not been pad wrapped prior to being shrink wrapped. Again, we're loading out of storage here, and this is what we have to deal with. Now we're going to be draping the pads over the sofa. We want to make sure that we're tucking it around and over top to ensure that the pads stay on. This sofa is extremely tall. As you can see, it barely fits in the truck, so sometimes we have to use a ladder. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, why isn't the rest of the sofa protected? Well, it is. We've already gone ahead and plastic wrapped the whole way around the sofa, and we've placed a pad underneath the sofa to ensure that there's going to be no rubbing underneath the sofa. So the sofa is protected. We've gone ahead and we've placed the pads over the top and the sides. Now we've placed them on the top because we're going to be loading on top of the sofas. So we want to make sure that we have protection from anything that's going to be placed on top. And everything else that we place in the moving truck that's going to go around the sofas are going to be pad wrapped. So we're not going to have to worry about anything coming in contact with the sofas that hasn't been pad wrapped or protected. So no exposed edges of wood or anything like that, or metal, should be coming in contact with the sofas as we continue to load the truck. Basically, the other items are going to be protecting the sofas as we load. Here we have a dryer that I'm going to be adding in between the sofas as base. Now that dryer has been placed with the front facing in towards the load, just as we always do with base, and the rear coming out. It has a control panel on top, just as all washers and dryers do. We want to make sure that we're not loading anything heavy on top of that, because you can break that. Typically in the past, we have stacked washer and dryers, and it fits them nicely in this spot, but we were starting to move away from that because is the juice worth the squeeze? It's a question you have to ask yourself. So what we'll do is we'll fill in on top of the washing machine or the dryer with moving pads to bring a nice level loading platform above the control panel, so that the weight of anything that we load on top is not going to be coming down on that control panel, because again, it will break. But don't overthink it. Use what you have in front of you and fill the space without breaking anything. On top of the dryer here, I've created some hot dogs, also known as sausages. We talk about this in our loading video, but basically you fold a moving pad and it helps fill empty space in the moving truck. So we've done that a few times here, and now we have a level loading surface. Now, just as a reminder, we are loading out of storage and we have to work with what we have in front of us. So we're actually at the end of the load, literally at the end of the truck, and we have nothing else to load. So not always are we going to be really filling in the tier. We actually sometimes have to tier down so that we can end the load. And that's kind of what we did here. Now that the truck has been loaded with all of this furniture, we have one more step, and that is to secure the furniture in place so it doesn't shift or move as we're driving the truck down the road. Now, this is extremely important, not only because it keeps everything in place, but it's also required by law. And depending upon the state you live in, it could get very detailed in how you have to secure your cargo. But for this video, we're just gonna dive into the basics of cargo securement. If you'd like to learn a little bit more detail about cargo securement, you could click and tap the screen here. That's a video we did all about that. And if you missed that, go ahead and take a look in the description below. We have it linked right there for you. You're gonna take a ratchet strap or a cam lock strap, whatever you have. They both work excellent, and I'll probably be using both here. And we'll take one side, working right to left, just like you read, right to left. We'll take the short, fixed side and buckle it in to the E-track port. Pulling it tight, we'll work our way across. And then buckle it in there. Now, I've gone a little low on that side, so I could bring this down. I really like things to be semi-even. Pull the excess through, pull the strap tight, pull that lever back, and begin to crank her tight. Then I'll take that excess. I like to fold it. Bring it over here and get it out of the way so we don't trip on it. Again, that's a safety thing. Yeah, just snug it up like that, just so it's out of the way, it looks nice. We're not sloppy when we pull up to the customer's home, and we're not tripping over it later. I'm going to use a cam buckle strap for this example. It's the same thing. You're going to click it into the E-track. If you have E-track that you're working with. I'm going high this time because I have some items, specifically this box here, that we don't want to shift or fall. So we'll take this and we are clicking it in just slightly. It's on the side, but it's slightly behind. And we'll pull it tight. Now this works on a buckle system, so you just pull it tight, and once it's tight, it's tight. Again, we'll take that excess, tie it out of the way, boom. And I still have some stuff down here that I don't want to shift, so we're going to go down lower. I'm a big fan of straps. I don't know if you could tell, but I'll use as many necessary as I can to make sure that nothing shifts. And I've done this several times as we've loaded, especially when we get to mattress tiers or anything that I feel like might shift. And we don't want to have any shifting as we're starting to unload the truck. So again, it's all about safety, making sure the guys are safe too. I have another cam buckle strap here. Again, we're just going to go slightly behind. There's no risk of the sofa itself rubbing on the buckle, but we do have a little bit of a risk of this rubbing on the fabric. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a burlap or a skin and we'll place it right there on that edge. All we'll do here is we'll run that burlap around the edge there. As you begin to pull it around, you can see that it's covering that corner nicely for us. And we'll try to make it as even as possible here. Get it in the E-track here. Pull it tight. Again, we're going to take the excess, loop it, cross it, pull it out of the way. And there you have it, how to load a sofa into a moving truck. And it really is that easy. As you start to do this, it'll become easier for you, and it's all about repetition. So the more you do this, the better it will become. And soon enough, you won't even have to sweat it anymore. If you found this video helpful, please share this with your family and friends, especially if they're moving. And don't forget to hit that like button for me. While you're at it, subscribe to the channel for more videos about the moving and storage industry. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are and what we do, you can find our Instagram and Facebook, as well as our website linked in the description below. And we'll catch you in the next one.